Good morning, welcome to Breakfast with Louise Minchin and Dan Walker.
Our headlines for you today. One of England's most senior medical advisors says he's greatly concerned about a rise in coronavirus cases in the past few days.
If we don't take this incredibly seriously from this point in, we're going to have a bumpy ride over the next few months.
In Wales, Caerphilly becomes the first county to go into local lockdown after recent figures show it has one of the highest number of cases in the UK.
More than 1 million people in Scotland are now subject to tougher restrictions after they were extended to 2 more areas overnight.
England's Phil Foden has apologised and says he will learn a valuable lesson after he and Mason Greenwood are sent home for breaching quarantine rules ahead of tonight's England game in Denmark.
Good morning. 2020's unpredictable weather means an unpredictable harvest. There are warnings that cereal yields could be at their lowest for 40 years.
And today's weather comes with a much milder theme to it. Pretty humid out there this morning. Most places dry, but there'll be some drizzle in the west today. I'll have all the details right here on Breakfast.
Good morning, it's Tuesday the 8th of September. Our main story for you: start taking coronavirus seriously or face a bumpy ride ahead. That's the warning from England's Deputy Chief Medical Officer, following the UK's highest numbers of daily cases since May.
Professor Jonathan Van Tam said people had relaxed too much over the summer and must now re-engage with social distancing rules. Here's Charlotte Gallagher with more.
Coronavirus has turned lives upside down, and there's a stark warning the threat remains a serious one.
This hasn't gone away. This is a virus we're going to have to live with. And if we're not careful, if we don't take this incredibly seriously from this point in, we're going to have a bumpy ride over the next few months.
He says young people not following social distancing guidelines are primarily behind the rise. Figures for England show the virus has spread more quickly among younger people. Early in August, just over 21% of new coronavirus cases were in their 20s. The following week, that went up to 25%. The week after, it was 29%, and it stayed at about that same level. Stricter measures are being introduced in some areas. Here in Caerphilly, a rapid rise means a local lockdown is coming into force. From 6 o'clock this evening, no one will be able to leave or enter the borough without good reason.
So the local lockdown measures for Caerphilly are that we're going to ask everyone to wear face coverings in indoor settings such as shops. We're going to be telling people that the extended household arrangements are coming to an end within Caerphilly County Borough. And we're also going to introduce travel restrictions.
And feelings are mixed about the changes.
I think it's good, really. I think it's good to react early to this and to err on the side of caution.
There's no reason. NHS is fine. That's the only reason for lockdown in the first place, to stop the NHS being overloaded, and there's no need to.
And it's not just this area that's causing concern. In the west of Scotland, restrictions have now been expanded to Renfrewshire and East Dunbartonshire. Also, council leaders in North East England say they're concerned about the rising number of coronavirus cases in young adults. Politicians in areas including Newcastle, Sunderland and County Durham say people are being reckless and selfish. There's alarm about this new spike in cases. Health officials hope the warnings will be a major wake-up call. Charlotte Gallagher, BBC News.
We will, of course, be talking about that throughout the whole morning, and we'll be joined by the Housing Secretary, Robert Jenrick, at 7:30 here on Breakfast.
7 Greek islands, including Crete and Mykonos, have been added to the government's list of destinations which will now require a period of self-isolation on return to England. The rest of Greece remains open to quarantine-free travel after the Transport Secretary, Grant Shapps, announced that he now has sufficient data to avoid making blanket restrictions on entire countries. Wales introduced a similar restriction last week, but in Scotland, the order applies to all of Greece.
UK and EU negotiators will meet in London today to resume talks for a post-Brexit trade deal.
This comes after the Prime Minister pledged to walk away from the table if no agreement is reached by the 15th of October. Let's speak to our political correspondent Helen Catt, who's in Westminster. And Helen, good morning to you. Compromise is the order of the day. Will they find it?
Well, there are two main issues that they need to find compromise on, and the bad news is that they are the same couple of issues that have come up through the last 7 rounds of Brexit talks. So one of them is fishing, how much access EU fishermen should have to fish in British waters. The EU would like something similar to what there is now. The UK says, well, that doesn't really recognise that we are an independent coastal state. The other one is around competition, and specifically how the UK is able to put money into industries that it wants to here, either because they're failing or because it wants to give them a boost. Now, the EU believes that it doesn't want a competitor, if you like, with access to its market so close that is able to give businesses what it sees as possibly an unfair advantage. The UK is saying, well, hang on a minute, it wants us to say what we're going to do with state aid, and that's not what they ask from other countries when they want a trade deal. So, and they don't believe that the EU is recognising sufficiently that the UK has left and is no longer a member. So those are the two sort of issues that they really need to make progress on. Both sides believe an agreement can be reached, but if you look at that issue, that is quite a mismatch on things that are quite fundamental approaches. So I think it is still going to be difficult for them to bridge that gap. The one thing that both sides do really seem to agree on, though, is that time is running short. The transition period ends on December the 31st. Things will change on January the 1st. We will be out of the customs union and the single market regardless. So I think there is an agreement there that both sides need to reach an agreement on this soon if a deal is to be put in place.
Helen, thank you very much. We'll speak to you a bit later on.
Yep, we will. Employers in the UK planned more than 300,000 redundancies in June and July as the pandemic took its toll on the workplace. That's according to figures obtained by the BBC.
It's more than 6 times as many posts as businesses were planning to axe during the same period last year. Our economics correspondent Andy Verity has the details.
Claims for out-of-work benefits have jumped in the pandemic, but because many weren't seeking work or available for it in lockdown, they weren't counted as unemployed. A more up-to-date picture emerges from forms which employers have to file with the Insolvency Service if they plan to make more than 20 people redundant, saying how many jobs they want to cut. The Freedom of Information request discovered that in June, 1,888 employers planned to cut 156,000 jobs. Then, in July, a further 1,784 employers gave notice of plans to cut nearly 150,000 jobs. Because many more will have been made redundant from smaller companies, the overall number of job cuts is likely to have been substantially higher. And with the furlough scheme drawing to a close in less than 2 months, further redundancies are widely expected in August and September. Andy Verity, BBC News.
A teenage boy remains critically ill in hospital after he was shot while walking to school. The 15-year-old was on his way to Kesgrave High School near Ipswich in Suffolk when the attack took place yesterday morning. Police have arrested a 15-year-old boy on suspicion of attempted murder.
Strong winds and extreme heat are threatening efforts to contain more than 20 wildfires, which are now burning out of control across the US state of California. Forecasters have warned of more challenging conditions today after temperatures soared to a record high of 49 degrees Celsius over the weekend. More than 2 million acres of land have already been affected, making it the worst wildfire season in history.
With the nights starting to draw in, Mary Berry's been on the hunt for the perfect comfort food.
Doesn't that look sheer perfection? It's beautiful.
Inspired by the people she meets and the food she tastes along the way.
Nectar.
Join Mary for her simple comforts. Starts tomorrow at 8 on BBC Two and iPlayer.
This is The Times. Don't kill your granny. That's the warning to young people from the Health Secretary Matt Hancock. The message follows a surge in cases over recent days.
The Guardian says it has seen leaked diplomatic cables which reveal a growing mistrust of the UK in Brussels. This is in the build-up to those trade talks which get underway today.
Netflix and Bill is the headline on the Metro's front page as the paper brings news that the Duke and Duchess of Sussex have repaid the £2.4 million of taxpayers' money which was spent on the renovation of Frogmore Cottage. The Metro reports that Harry and Meghan have now paid off their debt to the nation after sealing what they say is a mega bucks production deal with the streaming service Netflix. That, of course, been news for the last few days or so.
And one of the most watched videos on the BBC News website tells the story of a group of plant lovers in Plymouth who call themselves the Rebel Botanists. They've started a mission to label so-called weeds on verges and pavements.
I like the way they say so-called weeds.
if you're
because, I mean, maybe you just, I don't know.
If you're anti-weed, yes.
Yeah.
Football today is yesterday. Sally was talking about Novak Djokovic
for all the wrong reasons.
Yes. And today, front page of many of the papers. This is the
back
Mirror
pages, front
and the
pages,
back pages.
every pages.
You stupid boys is the headline here. This is Mason Greenwood and Phil Foden, who've been sent home from England camp. They're due to be playing Denmark tonight. Well, they are playing Denmark tonight, but these two have been sent home for breaching all the quarantine rules. They were. Young stars Foden and Greenwood sent home after sneaking 2 Icelandic girls into their hotel room. It's been a difficult few weeks, hasn't it, for Gareth Southgate?
Yeah.
Lots of things to deal with. The Harry Maguire situation, these two now as well. And Sally's going to be looking at this throughout the morning for us.
Should we talk? I mean, I love lottery stories, but this is a real mystery. So somebody has won. Well, have they won? That is the question. £57 million jackpot, right? They came forward to claim the prize on March the 17th. The March 17th prize in April, so they left it a bit of time. The ticket was purchased somewhere in Ayrshire. If they get that jackpot, it would make them richer than the World Cup winning French footballer Paul Pogba. I love the way they sort of do comparisons. For example, just for example.
Normally it's a double-decker bus. Somewhere.
I know, there's not exactly if you're doing a sort of height measurement. But what has happened is the operator Camelot has been unable to validate the player's ticket. So somebody's come along with the ticket, but they've not been able to validate it. So, I mean, I don't know what could have wrong. There's sort of speculation about what went wrong, theories including it could be damaged or have been lost. They've got just 5 days or something to claim that.
How do you validate a ticket if they say it's not lost?
I don't know how you would validate it if you'd lost it. I don't know either. But anyway,
just scream, it's my ticket.
It's mine, I bought it. Anyway, if they can't validate it, it will go to good causes, all that money. It'll go into the Good Causes Fund at midnight on Sunday. Good luck with that.
Now, if you were involved in this pitch, you definitely put it on a wall in your house somewhere. Get ready for this. This is near Weymouth, and it is, wait for it, look at that belter.
Isn't that lovely?
That is a full dolphin breach there. A friendly dolphin, says the Daily Mirror, makes friends with a jet skier as he jumps up for a quick chatter off the south coast. This is called Danny, this dolphin, by locals, because it's quite a regular. 5 feet in the air it leapt. It was taken by the instructor, Steve Hamilton, who took this incredible picture. It's rare for them to completely breach like that, especially that close. The dolphins are wild, but they do enjoy spending time with their human friends.
I think you like this one. This is the FA Cup that was presented from 1896 to 1910. Have you seen that FA Cup? That particular one?
Yeah,
you probably have, don't you?
I went to someone's house and David Gold, the former West Ham owner, I think he might have. He's owned one of them.
Has he? Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, so it's being sold and it's tipped to fetch £900,000 at a bottom sale in London. It's very. I mean, it does look absolutely beautiful, as well as being part of history as well.
I had a really weird day this summer. You know, during lockdown, I was doing Football Focus from home.
Right? I remember.
On FA Cup final day, which should have been FA Cup final day, which wasn't on. I said to my boss, "Do you think I could have the FA Cup to have at home?" And the FA said yes, thank you very much for that. So they dropped it. They dropped it off at my house.
Did they not? It normally comes with a security guard.
The normal 2 security guards, who are brilliant,
just
said, "Listen, we know that you've sort of used this before, so take care of it." And they couldn't come into my house. So I had the FA Cup in my house for like 4 hours. It was magnificent.
Because whenever it comes in here, it's kind of like heavily guarded. We can't touch it.
No, but they were outside, and you know they were watching over everything. And I'm glad that at least somebody in the world trusts me to take care of something important.
See the headlines as they happen and watch BBC News live in the app and get the full story with bbc.co.uk/news. Follow the story for all the latest with BBC News.